Instagram. So we're gonna get this podcast in before who knows what happens, because I am currently in Hurricane Ian right now. So I figure while I got power, I'm gonna go live and talk to the people, because I've definitely had a lot of stuff to talk about, because y'all know I haven't done my podcast or been live in months. It's embarrassing to say. But I just wanted to come live and share what's been on my mind, because God definitely gave me something to share with you guys like a month ago. And I just have been making excuses with like my daughter and just finding the quiet time. And so tonight, while I'm in the house and starting to get restless, I was like, let me come live, especially while I have power. So if the stream goes out, you guys know why, but I believe that I will get through this word before it does. So I definitely wanted to come live and just do it. Because, I think we have things that we want to do, things that are placed on our hearts, and we just keep thinking about it, thinking about the details, thinking about how am I going to do it, when am I going to do it, like what am I going to say, what am I going to wear. Cause I definitely was going to get cute for y'all, but I was like, let me stop wasting time and just come live. And my podcast is something that I know for a fact was a God idea, and I never want to abandon it. I know I'm still building that consistency muscle with it, but I never want you guys to think that Get Up 10 is just like a phase, because it's definitely not. And so here I am, flaws and all right, just doing it. And I have many updates for you guys, because I have not done a live since, I think my last podcast was in January, and we are now getting ready to go into October. So you can only imagine the amount of stuff that has happened in my life. But just to give you guys some updates, I did move to Florida with my family in the middle of July, and it has been amazing, honestly. Everybody's like, oh, why did you move? And did you move? And I love New York. It's my home, but I was ready for something new, hence why I moved to North Carolina in 2020. So I was ready for a new chapter, but this one just felt completely different, because when I moved to North Carolina, I was a completely different person. I had just finished college. I just rushed into this relationship, and I was just like, all right, like, I'm grown now. I'm making good money. Like, I need to get out of my parents' house, and my heart just wasn't in the right place. And so, God's grace definitely covered me. I will never deny that, because I believe that I was supposed to be in North Carolina in 2020 for a multitude of reasons. Because now, as I look back, I see how God placed me there for a reason. I was pregnant working during the beginning of COVID, but my job, I was able to kind of avoid it in the beginning, and then I went out on my maternity leave. And even just how I was able to buy a home in the beginning of 2020 and then sell it the next year for a profit, like, that's only God's timing. And so I will never ever take the credit away from him and how he places his people. And so I know that I was meant to be in North Carolina for the time that I was, but I just, like I said, I didn't go there with my heart in the right place, because I was angry at the time. And it's so important how you end one chapter, because how you end one chapter is how you enter the next. And so I feel like because I went into that chapter with a whole lot of baggage, my next chapter I had a whole lot of cleaning up to do. But here we are. And so now I moved to Florida with my family, and I was just so ready for this new chapter. And I feel like my heart was in a good place, my mind was in a good place, and I felt that. Like, as soon as we got to Florida, I just felt like there was so much favor and blessings on me and my family. Everybody who needed jobs in my family, we all got them pretty much either before we got here or right when we got here. My sister, as soon as we moved here, she literally had interviews every single day for the first week that we were here. And my mom and I, we got our job offers before we even relocated. So there's just so much favor over my family. And even my daughter, from the moment that we got to Florida, it was just like so many blessings. Like, strangers would just give her toys at the beach, and we went to the mall one day, and you know how they have those like stuffed animals that the kids could ride on? Well, somebody was leaving before their time was up, and they gave one to my daughter. And so just to see the favor that God has poured out on my family. My daughter, the beach is her happy place. So I just love to sit back and watch her uh, enjoy herself. She is like fearless when it comes to the water. So definitely got to get some swimming lessons soon because, yeah, I got a fearless one. But God has just been so good to my family during this time. And for me personally, to move here, like I said, I was able to get a job like right away. And if you've been following me for any amount of time, you knew that I had a pretty bad experience with bedside nursing. And I definitely was determined not to go back to the bedside because why would I do that to myself again? I was traumatized, y'all. Like, I wasn't going back. And so I put my foot down, and fun fact, I actually started to pivot into tech because I was determined not to go back to bedside nursing. And I got a scholarship opportunity to do a Google certificate in data analytics, which I still have to finish actually. But I was ready to like leave nursing behind because I just knew that I wanted better for myself. However that had to happen, I was going to make it happen. But luckily I found this opportunity to do virtual nursing or telehealth, and I love it, honestly. Everything that I would have done at the bedside as far as like documentation and like asking my patients questions about things, especially like going over medications, admissions questions, education. I do all that stuff virtually behind a computer, and I love it. It's so much more, it's not stress-free, but it's like so much more less, am I saying this right? I don't think so. It's way less stressful, y'all. I get to sit at a computer and I have my blanket because the patients only see us from like shoulders up, and I got a snack drawer, y'all, and y'all know I love to eat. So to be able to just be comfortable but also still be there for my patients as a nurse, it's pretty cool. The other night I was talking to a patient and she was about to get some blood drawn, and so I was actually done with her as far as what I had to do for her admission, but I decided to stay on the line with her and just talk to her while she got her blood drawn. And so it's like the way that I wanted to be there for somebody as a nurse at the bedside, I can afford to do that as a virtual nurse because I don't have a long list of patients that I need to get to and meds that I need to hand out and things that I need to do. So I love it. And so when it came to the pay, I definitely I put myself in position to earn 6 figures before I left New York, and that was my last nursing job. I was so proud of myself because that was my goal, to get a 6-figure job, and I did it. But y'all know, if you don't know, go check out the live that I did. Don't even remember what it's called anymore. I think it's called I Quit. Pretty sure it's called I Quit, where I talk about my nursing career and why I decided to walk away. But yeah, so that job that I walked away from was a 6-figure job. And on the flip side, when I was in North Carolina working at an amazing hospital, world-renowned hospital, I was making the least money I've ever made in my nursing career. And y'all, I found one of my budget sheets from that time period of my life, and I literally have a sad face like written on my budget because the money just my paycheck wasn't giving. And so when I took this job, I knew that I didn't need to make 6 figures, but I needed to make something that made me feel good. And so I kind of like did a middle mark between the 6 figures and the least I've ever made. I had a goal in mind, and with this job, let's just say the bonuses be coming through, okay? And that is all God, because I didn't know that I was going to have the opportunity to make money like this, and also just to have the support of my family. Like, we're all here living together again because my siblings have moved away at different parts, but we're all back under one roof. And I know for some people that is not ideal, but for me and my family, I love coming home to them. I love hanging out with them. So I just feel really blessed. And my sister has a community. My daughter loves her family, to say the least. So I'm blessed to be here with them for this season. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, when one of us is going to move out or what's going to happen, but I know for this time right now, I'm so just overjoyed to be under one roof with my family. And my brother is coming home in a couple of weeks, so we're going to have a full house, and my heart is full, and I'm just blessed. But anyways, yeah, so new job, new state, Florida, okay, I know we got Hurricane Ian going on right now, but there's so much to do here and so much to explore. And I feel like I haven't even like began to see all that there is. And so I'm really excited to just live life here. And that's really what I feel like I'm doing. Like, I can go to the beach, I can go to the mall, there's just so much to do here. Like, I'm taking my daughter to see her first live show. I've taken my daughter to the zoo. We're members at the zoo, okay? The possibilities they just feel endless here. It feels good here. I can't explain it, but it's awesome. And I can honestly say, like, the people are happier here. So I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've been getting my nails done. And I know to you guys, it might be like, okay, but there was a time, I just remembered something else I need to share with you guys. But for a long period of I almost went like one whole year without getting my nails done. And getting my nails done is a form of self-care for me. I feel like my best self when my nails are done. Okay. And so I went for almost a year without getting my nails done because I didn't have the money to afford the upkeep. And I mean, it is what it is. You make sacrifices in certain seasons. And in the season that I was in before this, getting my nails done wasn't a priority. But I've since been able to get back to taking care of myself and of getting my nails done, getting my hair done, all that kind of good stuff that makes me feel good and helps me to show up as the best version of myself. And so I didn't realize this, but my nail lady, she really be taking her time on my nails, and it's because she's in a good mood and she loves what she does and she's not in a rush or like on to her next client. And so that's one thing I've noticed about Florida is that the people are happier here, and because of that, it shows in how we do things. So that's kind of dope to experience, especially when you come from New York and it's like, gotta go, hustle, 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 on to the next. It's a different change of pace, but it's not too slow, so that's cool. But I also wanted to share with you guys that before I moved here from September 2021 to June or July of this year, I was job hunting, job searching, and nothing, when I tell you nothing was coming through, and your girl was hurt, okay? That was a painful season. I hated applying to jobs because, you have to like fix your resume for each little job, and it takes time, especially when you haven't touched your resume in a couple of years and you gotta update and tweak and remove and reword, and then it's just a lot, y'all. And then I got my daughter like running around, so like something that would take me 30 minutes to do, it was taking me twice as long because I had my daughter running in the room or trying to like be on me while I'm trying to do my resume. And so it was just very stressful to even apply for jobs because so much went into it behind the scenes. And I would get interviews and they would go with somebody else, or they wouldn't go with me at all, or like, I would start the process for some jobs and they just decide, oh, we went with somebody else. And so I was definitely broken because I was just like, God, like, you know what my bank account is. I'm living off my credit card. I have a daughter to provide for. Nothing is coming through. Like, what's going on here? But I didn't give up, and I just kept praying and pivoting. And I even applied for a job where, like, I knew somebody in HR. So I was like, it's over. I'm in here. Like, it's a wrap. And then they put the hiring on hold. And I was just like, God, if you don't want me to have a job, just say that. Like, like nothing was working out. But like I said, I was able to get into the job that I'm in now that I'm so grateful for. I know what it's like to go to work burnt out, anxious, stressed out, especially as a nurse. You just never know what your night is going to bring. So to get this job where the nights go quick, I'm at ease, I still get to interact with patients, it was just a blessing. And it's all God's timing because the job that I'm in now, they just got their Florida office in May. So pretty much everybody is new. It's like the blind leading the blind sometimes. Literally, like, I trained this lady a couple weeks ago, and this week she was training somebody else. So like, it's just fast paced. But I'm just grateful for the opportunity, and having income again allows me to take care of myself, take care of my daughter, but also get back to investing in myself and my dreams, which I'm really excited because I used like the last of my money from selling my house in North Carolina to invest in my dreams and invest in coaching. But at some point the money did run out. And so one thing that was valuable from that season was that even though I may not have the money or the coaching or whatever, I still had to look at what I did have. And so I actually did write a book in the last year that I do look forward to publishing one day in the near future. Honestly, one of the reasons that I've not put out any books, because I made a journal and I wrote a book that I cannot wait to give to you guys. But I did those two things, and I wanted to put a hold on releasing them until my divorce is final, which is another thing that I have going on, is that I did file for divorce this year, and so I am praying that it is finalized real soon, because moving to Florida has been a new chapter for me in every single way, and I feel like that was the last thing that I was really looking forward to resolving, and I'm still praying that it will be resolved soon. But I have to shout out Patrice Washington and Redefining Wealth, because I've been following her for years, and the way that she talks about her divorce, because she also filed for divorce this year, and she has been so open and honest about it, and just divorcing with dignity, but also looking forward and knowing that she is wifey material, and she does plan on remarrying and working on herself to be somebody's wife. Like, to hear another woman going through a divorce and not be out here like bitter and just talking down, trashing marriage, it fills my heart, because that's the same exact way that I feel. It's like, okay, what happened. Divorce is never anybody's first option, but for me, it is what I had to do. And despite that, I still hold marriage and love in very high regards, and I do want to date, and I do want to get married again, and I do want my daughter to see her mother being loved well. And so it's a whole different ball game, because as a mother, like, I don't have time to waste. Like, before I could play around because my priorities were just completely different. But now that I'm a mom, I know that I have to show up for my daughter, and it makes me even show up for myself on another level. So I'm not settling or entertaining the same games that I would have, and I'm very proud of myself for that. But yeah, I mean, one day I will talk more about going through the court systems for my divorce and custody and child support and all that, but not tonight. And speaking of which, I think this is a good segue into what I actually wanted to talk about tonight, since we're all caught up now, I think. I don't know. If y'all got questions for me, just send them and I'll address them next time I go live. But I wanted to talk about moving forward tonight, because I remember in 2020 when I left my daughter's father, and if you don't know, I came out of an abusive situation, and so I knew that there was no going back to that. They say that it takes the average person. Oh, there we go. All right, y'all. I'll save this message for another time. But actually, I don't know. I think I still got self-service. Let's see what I can do here. I think Instagram, y'all still with me. Let me see if I can get my hotspot for Facebook, because we definitely just lost power. All right, we're finna do this podcast in the dark. If you're still on live with me, let me know if you can see me okay. All right. I just want to talk about moving forward. So I might have to come back because I hear my daughter. I'll come back on live, but at least you guys got to catch up with me. And I'll be back real soon, because I do want to talk about moving forward with you all, which is something that I have had to learn how to do on another level, and that I want to share with you guys the things that I have learned, the revelations I have gotten about moving forward, because I was determined to do it. And so I'm going to come back on live when I have power, because I got to make sure my daughter's all right. Or maybe I'll come back later tonight. We'll see. But as you see, the power is out now, so keep us lifted up in prayer. But thanks for listening for the 20 minutes that we got in. Good night, guys. All right. So as promised, I'm back live to finish up the podcast that I started last night before the power went out. Shout out to Duke Energy, because the lights are back on. They wasted no time. The power went out at 8:30 last night, and this morning at 8 a.m. they already were up and fixing things. So shout out to them. But last night, if you didn't catch it, I did start part one of this podcast episode, which was basically just getting you guys up to date on what's been going on in my life. But I didn't really get into the message of what I really wanted to share with you all. So, as promised, we are back, and I'm going to do that now. So, without further ado, welcome to another episode of Get Up 10 Podcast. In this episode, I wanted to talk about moving forward. Because if you heard the first part, and if you're listening to this later when I put it all together, you'll definitely have heard the first part. But I've definitely undergone a lot of change in my life in the past couple of years, like a lot, between relocating, going through divorce, still new to this whole motherhood thing, and probably some other stuff, getting a new job. Whew. The process to even get the job was rough. So I've just gone through a lot, but I just know that before I even move forward, no pun intended, so last night somebody did actually slide into my DMs to ask me a question, and they asked me, was I actually really happy, or was I still working on finding happiness again after all that I've been through? And I was actually happy to answer that question because it wasn't hard. Like, I truly am so happy, and it's crazy because there's been so many moments over the past few months and weeks that I have just had to pause and take it in because life just feels so good. And yes, like, I have other things going on. I have my moments. I have cried. I have definitely been angry. Like, life is happening. But even though life is happening, there's still so many moments lately where I just have to pause and be grateful because I am so blessed and so happy. And it's not even like these big things that happen that trigger my happiness. It'll literally be like the smallest things. And I try to capture them on my phone too with like videos and pictures. I know like one time it had just been a long day, but a good long day. And I got home and I was able to just eat food with my daughter. And I think it was like my first week of work too. So I was just grateful to have made it through my first week of work and have my baby in my arms, even though I was so tired. But to have some good food and have my daughter, like, that did it for me. And then this past weekend, I got to go to Chicago to attend Eric Thomas's 120 conference. And I remember from the moment that I walked into the hotel and seeing all my friends that are more like family, I just felt so much love. And that did it for me. And then to go up to my hotel room, change into my pajamas, and eat deep dish pizza, because I was in Chicago, in bed while I had Martin on TV. It's like little moments like that where it's like, yo, yes, I really am happy. And I think a part of me coming back to my own happiness and coming back to myself was, even though I can say I did have a lot of growth and maturity to do, which that's a lifelong thing, I'm always going to have that. But I will commend my past self, if that makes sense. The girl that got into the abusive relationship, the girl that didn't value herself enough, the girl that didn't see her worth all the time, the girl that was angry and acted out of that anger. Even though she obviously had some things to work on, she still had a sense of self and what made her happy. And so as I embarked on my healing journey, I was able to get a therapist, and I didn't just settle because the first therapist that I work with, I wasn't seeing results or breakthrough with her. And so I actually had to end my professional relationship with her and find somebody else. And I found that person through a Facebook group, and I'm rocking with her to this day. And she is such a gift to my life, honestly. And so from working with her to getting back in the gym, which is such a key part of who I am as a person, like, I've always been a student athlete, and movement is very, like, essential to who I am. Like, I just am my best self when I'm in motion, when I'm in the gym. And so between therapy and getting back to working out and I guess I can say traveling to a degree. Yeah, I can say traveling because even when my finances were struggling, like, my family held it down for me. And so I was still able, like, I was able to get this trip to Chicago. I was able to pay for myself thanks to my new job, aka God, because let's remember everything that we have materially is a resource, but God is the source. And so thanks to God, I was able to do this Chicago trip on my own. Didn't have to use, well, I did have to use my credit card because I wanted to secure my flight, but other than that, like everything else was paid for in cash. I was able to travel across the country again with my sister and my daughter. We drove from California back to New York, and so I had that memory thanks to my family. I also last year was able to go to Dallas, Texas for the first time for Women Evolve conference, and not only did I go, but I was able to bring my mother and my daughter with me. So I did get some travel in here and there. There's probably more trips that I'm even forgetting, but traveling is another thing that I do that makes me feel like myself again. And so, like I said, getting back in the gym, getting a therapist, traveling. What else are things that I did? I took every opportunity to go outside when I can, because sometimes, I don't know, my personality type, I don't do well cooped up in the house, and so I need to get out and I need to get fresh air and I need to see people just living life again. And another thing in the past season of my life that I was able to just experience was not rushing. And I know that may sound like, okay, and to a lot of people, but I don't know if you've ever stopped and think about it, or thought about it. But a lot of the times we're just like rushing through our days. We're not taking time to quote unquote smell the roses. We're not taking time to consider other people. We're just like focused, consumed with ourselves and what we have to get done and on to the next thing and what's next in my schedule and how long does it take to get here. And we don't take time to just pause and be. And so the season of my life that I just came out of where I didn't have a job and I just was living life, I had time to just pause and not rush and be patient and move at my own pace, and I needed that. And so the last thing I want to say, because it is the most important, is that in this season my faith my faith really got strengthened. Okay, there was a lot of things, especially with going through court for my daughter and for my divorce and dealing with lawyers and all this kind of stuff. There was a lot of waiting and things that were out of my hands that I really had to just give it to God because it was too much for me to carry. And to see how God came through for me every single time and to see how much favor and blessings I experienced in this season of my life. The fasting, the praying, like, y'all, I've never fasted and prayed so much in my life until recently. And so let's just say that faith muscle definitely got to work out in this past season, and I'm stronger because of it. And so I'm not going to just sit here and tell you guys, oh, I went to therapy. Oh, when I got money, I went and got my nails done again. Oh, I started working out again. Like, yes, I did all of that and it helped. But what I also did was work on my inner woman. All right, I won't say inner man, but that spiritual aspect, because it really starts inside first. Like everything that is around me, everything that is outside of me is a result of what's inside of me. And so I went to the creator, I went to the source, and I let him do his work on the inside of me, because it starts there. I don't know how else to put it, but my happiness that I'm experiencing in this season, because seasons change, but the happiness that I have in this season is truly from the inside. And that's why it's like, I don't even know how to put it into words, or if you can fully like experience the happiness that I feel, because it really is deep down on the inside. And I guess when I put it like that, it's not just happiness, it's joy, because happiness is based on circumstances when life is good. But joy is a lot deeper, and it says no matter what I'm going through, I'm good. I'm at peace. I'm grateful. I'm blessed. I'm healthy. I'm alive. It is the joy that is able to recognize that despite everything that is going on around me. So I'll even take it a step further and just say that I'm not just happy. I'm full of joy in this season. But I just wanted to address that real quick because somebody did ask that to me and I did respond to them. And so I just wanted to let you all know too about that. But all right, let's get into it. Moving forward. So like I said, I have had to move forward in this season of my life. And y'all, I got my notes, so hopefully we'll be a focused non-topic today. But I have had to move forward in many ways in my life in this past season. And I just remember being back in 2020, and I was in such a broken place, and I didn't know what the future held for me. I just knew the heaviness of the present moment. And I just remember being plugged into my faith and to God, and just trying to be receptive and open to, okay, God, what is next for me? Because you brought me out of this situation. You brought me out of this abusive mess. So, like, what's next? Because I have no idea. Here I am now. I'm a single mom. I don't have any money. I had to move back in with my parents. I had to leave my home and my belongings behind. So what do you have next for me, God? Because I know you're not done with me yet, right? Like, I knew that there was more, but I didn't know what that meant or what that looked like. But I just knew that I was committed to moving forward, and I can literally see it, like the picture in my head. And I thought about showing you guys, but I don't even know which journal it is. But I just remember writing in really big words, moving forward. And the way I wrote it, it was supposed to kind of look like the movement of the ocean and waves, and that's just that constant motion, that rhythmic motion of, like, that's how I saw the picture in my head, just moving forward. Like, that's what I was determined to do. And during this season, I definitely had Israel Houghton's Moving Forward on repeat, just reminding myself that I'm following him, I'm following God, I'm moving forward, I will follow you, I'm moving forward. Like, that was the declaration that I kept saying over myself in my life, because I knew that I couldn't, where I was at, I couldn't stay there. I would not stay at the bottom. I would not stay broken. And I was determined to move forward. And so I told myself that. I didn't know what moving forward looked like. I didn't know what it meant, but I knew that I was going to do it. And so a couple weeks ago, I had some revelation about this whole concept of moving forward, right? Because I think it's something that we all have to do at some point in our lives. And there is definitely a way to do it properly. And so I know that I look at it like life on a continuum or an arrow. And so behind us, of course, we have the past. Right now we have the present, and in front of us we have the future, right? And so I feel like some people, we get caught up in the past. And when you are living from a place of the past and what you've been through and what you've experienced, you can be carrying a lot of guilt, regret, shame, and weight that's not yours to carry. And that's just not the place that you want to live from, because it definitely holds you back and weighs you down. But on the flip side, like, if you're just focused on the future, that can bring a lot of anxiety, because we can't control the future. We don't know what lies ahead of us. Yes, it's good to have plans in place, and yes, it's good to reflect, but there's a balance to it, because you don't want to be too far in the past and you don't want to be too far in the future. And so I know that it's really important for us to live in the present as much as we can, because in the presence is where there is peace. In the presence is where there's blessings. In the presence is where we can pause and experience an awareness of God's presence that is with us. And so I just have, like I mentioned before, I got to practice living in the present and just not worrying about what's behind me or what's in front of me, but just pausing to savor the moment that I'm in. And out of that place of peace, out of that place of abundance and awareness, I am able to look forward with confidence, knowing that there is greater ahead of me, remembering the promises of God over my life, and knowing that there will be goodness in front of me. And so I really learned to just focus on the present when life gets too crazy, just to center myself, ground myself. And so I know that when you're moving forward, there's a tendency to say that I'm not going to look back. Like, whoever was in the past with me, whatever happened to me in the past, I'm not going to focus on that. I'm not going to look at that. I don't even want to think about that person. I don't want to remember that experience. I don't want to, what they did to me, I don't want to know it. I don't want to remember it. I want nothing to do with it, because I've been there. You know, like our bodies, it's crazy, because what the mind will forget, the body will remember. So even though we think that we are forgetting what happened to us, who did us wrong, who violated us, our bodies, it's still remembered that deep down. And so we can't actually forget like that. And so I know that there's this tendency just to like try to forget and ignore what was in the past. But what I've learned is that we actually need to go back and remember those things and unpack those things. Find a friend, find a therapist, get you a journal, all right? And unpack what you've been through, how it made you feel. Remembering memories, they're not all bad. And just because a memory is not positive doesn't mean that it doesn't have value. And so also, I think it's just important to remember that we all have stuff in our closet. If we all look back, we all have things that we're not proud of. We all have things that have hurt us. We've all been through something. And so when you're tempted to feel shame or guilt or something, like, bring yourself out of that, because you are not the only one who's ever been through something. And so what I've learned is that when you're moving forward, instead of forgetting and just blacking out the past, take time to look back and remember. Another thing that's helped me to move forward in this season of my life is to look back and remember what God has said, the promises that He's given to me, the words that He's spoken over my life, and look back at what He's done. Because, you know, I have to use my life as an example. I can easily sit here, well, not right now, but let's just say like a couple months ago when I literally had like a couple cents in my bank account and was like texting my family like, hey, can you send me $100 to bring my account up to negative? Like, it was so easy to just sit there and be like, this sucks. I don't have no money in my bank account. All the jobs that I'm applying to are rejecting me. I don't know where I'm going to find a job at this point because I have a daughter now and I have this divorce going on, and like, I just don't know what I'm going to do. Everything costs money. Like, I could have easily sat there and just piled it on of all of my troubles and worries. But it's pretty hard to sit there and worry about money when you know how God provides for you, when you know that God is taking care of you. Something that I've adopted recently in my mentality is that I'm a well-kept woman. I'm well-kept. And I'm not even about to sit here and be like, I'm well kept because I maintain myself. No, I'm well kept because Jehovah Jireh is my provider. He takes care of me. He looks out for me. And so I've been living from that place recently. And something that I love to share with people is that in 2021, when I did not have a job and I didn't know what was about to happen with my life, something that I wrote down, I made the declaration in faith, prophesied, if you will. Something that I wrote down in my journal is that my name is being written on checks that I have yet to receive. And in 2021, I have never gotten so many checks in my life. Like, I know God is going to break the limit in the future, but for 2021, I have never received so many checks in my life, but they would just come in the mail and they sustained me. Between the checks in the mail, between my family, between the credit card limit increases that would come right on time, I was kept. I was good. I had no needs. I didn't want for nothing. And so coming through that season where God kept showing up for me, it made it easy for me to like move forward knowing that like God is my provider. He takes care of me. So if that makes sense, like instead of looking at my past or even my present, no, let me say it like this. Instead of looking at my present situation and coming out of a place of anxiety and fear and lack, which would then only translate into how I look at my future from a place of lack, I didn't allow that. I went back into my past, into my records of what God has done for me, and I built up that faith muscle, reminding myself, oh, wait a minute, God and I have history. He has a track record of coming through for me. And from that space, I was able to ground myself in the present and look forward with hope, if that makes sense. Whereas if I had just shut out the past and only focused on my present situation, I couldn't look forward with hope. And so it's so important to look back on what God has done for you and remind yourself that He's got you and that He's not going to let your foot slip. He's not going to let you fall. He's going to make a way. It might not be on your time, but He lives outside of time. And something else that I remind myself as often as I remember is that I'm always on God's mind. He's always thinking about me. Like, and if any moment He ever stops thinking about me, I cease to exist. The reason that I'm here right now, the reason that I'm here right now is because He's thinking about me. And if He's thinking about me, I know the type of thoughts He's thinking towards me because He loves me. He cares for me. I'm His daughter. And so I just like to remind myself of that. And so, yeah, I even have it. It's crazy because I haven't really looked at my notes, but I literally have it written that, like, when you come into the present and the future from a place of remembering what's been done in the past for you, you can move forward confidently and with hope, resting in His promises, not struggling and rushing and all this mess. And so it's really a perspective shift when it comes to dealing with your past. When it comes to the past, yes, like, crap has happened, okay? Like, we've all been through something. We're all going through something. Like, it's true what they say. When you look around, if somebody is not going through something right now, they just came out of something, or they're getting ready to go into something. So kindness is so important, y'all. But anyways, that's not my point. My point is just that we all have stuff that we're dealing with and working through. And so it's so important to get this perspective shift. So instead of looking at your life as I cannot ever go back, which there is some things that, yeah, you shouldn't go back to because you deserve more. You're better than that. Instead of looking at the past with blinders, like, I refuse to acknowledge that. I can't believe that happened to me. I can't believe I did that. Stop that, all right? We've all done stuff we're not proud of. We've all experienced things that we're not proud of. Instead of getting caught in that place of regret and shame, I need you to flip your perspective and look back and say, yeah, that happened, but I'm still here. I'm still moving forward. There's still goodness in front of me. My best days are not behind me. They're in front of me. And have that perspective shift of looking back, not for the purpose of bringing yourself down, but for the purpose of bringing yourself up because you remember what God has done for you and how God has come through for you and the words that He's spoken over your life. Because one thing about the Word of God is that if He said it, it's going to come to pass. You didn't miss out on anything, okay? If He said it and it hasn't happened, it's on its way. It's coming. And so why would you ever quit and why would you ever give up when you still have blessings and favor on their way to you? Like, why would you miss out on that? Like, no, okay? Ooh, what's for you is what's for you, baby. And so I just wanted to encourage you guys to have that perspective shift of, instead of looking at your past from a place of heaviness and regret, look at your past from a place of remembering what God has done. Something I heard recently was that remembering is a modern day miracle. And it sure is, because there's definitely people out here who are not in their right mind. So if you are awake right now and you're able to remember, if your mind still works, that's a blessing. And don't take that for granted. And don't spend your memories thinking on negative crap that you've been through. Use your memory to remember the goodness that has happened to you and live from that place of gratitude and confidence, not in yourself, but in God and what He's done for you. Let me tell you something. Gratitude is a game changer. I'm so big on gratitude. I really do believe it's protection, because they like to say that gratitude is a magnet for miracles, and it sure is. People love gratitude. God loves gratitude. And so when you are intentional about putting yourself in the mentality of gratefulness every single day, every single moment that it crosses your mind, it's a setup for success right there. And so that's really what I wanted to say about moving forward properly, all right? Don't get stuck caught up in the past and what you've been through, but look back with the expectation that greater is ahead of you. And so I hope that made some type of sense. I definitely had a picture in my head of what I wanted to say. I don't know if it came out right, but it felt good to be back live and talking to you guys. And I look forward to recording more episodes of Get Up 10 as we move forward. Like I said, this is not just a phase or something that I just do. Like, we are going to get back to it. I made sure that when I packed up to move to Florida, I found my microphone. So, because I know my audio is a little shaky on the podcast, but we're going to fix that. We're going to get back to it. And I'm excited. I do want to continue bringing you guys guests and whatever's on my heart. I know I'm going to be doing some podcasts with other people soon. So hopefully I'll be able to share that with y'all. But as always, I just want to thank everybody who tuned into my lives, everybody who listens to the recordings, everybody who listens to the podcast. It's crazy. I always think that nobody's listening, but people are, and I appreciate all of the compliments and the positivity. And if there's ever anything that you want me to address or talk about, please let me know. All right, I don't want this to be all about me. I want to make sure that I'm helping you guys out with whatever I can, however I can, whether it's through my story or getting one of my friends, because I know some pretty awesome people, if I do say so myself. So that's it, guys. I'm thankful to be alive today. I'm thankful that the power's back on. We made it through Hurricane Ian. Apparently, I'm a real Floridian now because I made it through my first hurricane and my first car accident, which, don't worry, it was very minor, but that happened on my first day of work. Anyways, yeah, I'm just grateful. So thank you guys for tuning in, and let me know in the comments what I said that stood out to you. And until next time, have a great day, guys. Bye.